everybody. Thank you for joining me for today on this live journaling session. We're going to journal on self-compassion, but I'm going to start by talking a little bit about self-love, because self-love is ultimately what self-compassion can help us get towards. So before I dive into that, just quick heads up on how this is going to go. I am going to share this little bit of information with you. We'll talk about the journal prompts, then we'll journal for 10 minutes. And then if anybody has questions, I will stay around and answer them. So let's talk about self-love. Why is self-love so critical? Self-love is critical because on our journey to align to our true self, the person who we came here to be, it requires us to love ourselves. True alignment with ourselves means we are in love with ourselves. But a lot of times self-love is taught as like this task that you have to do. But in reality, it's built. It's built through doing healing work. It's built through taking action. It's built through standing up for yourself. It is built through self-compassion. You can't love yourself if you are not compassionate with yourself. And so that is why a self-compassion practice is important. Now, I know that it's not always easy. In fact, I kind of struggle myself with self-compassion, especially a lot of the ways that it's taught, because to me, there's sometimes some disconnect between this is what it's supposed to be and the reality of actually taking action. And so what we're going to talk about first before we get into our journaling is keeping in mind what self-compassion is. Self-compassion helps you to get to the place where you can do the healing work. It's the act of being kind to yourself. It allows you to see where you are wounded and then lovingly heal and address that. It is action. Now, it's supposed to be made up of 3 components where we're compassionate with ourselves, there's an understanding, and there's mindfulness, an understanding that we're like everybody else. Now, I say supposed to because when we're in our own lives and we're hurting, that middle one of human likeness can be really tough. And so when we look at self-compassion from the lens of how it's taught, it can make us feel like our reality isn't good enough, and it can really mess us up. And so what I like to do is reframe that to what would you tell a friend going through this? So instead of saying, yes, I'm like everybody else, and yes, other people experience it, doing a simple flip is the best way to approach that. So we are going to talk about how you can build this into your day. There's a 3-step process that you can do in the morning, which will make everything super easy to slowly build up. Doesn't mean the work gets easy, but to begin to build up this practice. The first one is journaling, and a simple prompt every single morning to ask yourself, where yesterday did I ignore my emotions? Where did I hide those feelings? And then the next thing you can do is a body scan. And this is the mindfulness component, because what you're doing is you're scanning for places that you might need extra attention. You know, maybe something's tight and you need to release it. And then the third thing that you can do is simply just give yourself a hug. You can hug yourself and say, may I be kind to myself today? That very simple practice done every single day will help you build this self-compassion. So now let's talk about our journaling for today. So for today, I have put the journal prompts in the chat. I also have them in the description. And what you're going to start with is ask yourself where I've been hard on myself lately. And with this, you're really picking basically what you're going to look at. So maybe you've been judging yourself about something you did at your job that didn't turn out the way you wanted. That's what you're going to pick. Then you're going to ask yourself, what am I expecting by being hard on myself? Is there an outcome you're looking for? So often when we're hard on ourselves, we expect that to do something for us. If I judge myself on this, that means next time I'm going to try harder. So we really want to get clear on why you're being unkind to yourself. With that, after you've identified that, ask yourself, why do I expect this? Is it because that's how you were raised? Is it because of a past event? What you're doing here is trying to get to the root cause of why you're being hard on yourself, because that will then let you go do that healing work when you identify what it is. Then you want to ask yourself, is that a reasonable expectation? Sometimes it might not be, and sometimes it's blatantly obvious, but having kind of a gauge of is that actually reasonable will help you determine your next steps. After that, using the shared experience, ask yourself, if a friend just said this to me, everything that you had just written, what would you say to them? And then ask yourself how you can apply that to yourself. So, what would you tell a friend who just shared everything that you've written? And then how can you flip that and apply it to yourself? And then the last two, so that first set is kind of a series to work through a problem. The last two are more about general compassion, and that is, how can I be more loving to myself? And how can I be more forgiving to myself? These will help you start to develop kindness. And at the same time, that first set is going to help you work through exact moments that you are not kind to yourself. So those are our journal prompts. I am going to turn on some very calming music. It's 528 hertz, which will help you heal and relax while you're journaling. We're going to journal for 10 minutes and we will go from there. So go ahead and grab your journal and let's journal. All right, go ahead and finish up what you're jotting down. And if people have questions, I will stick around. I also want to share some extra journal prompts that came from my own journaling. So anytime I'm journaling, I like to kind of dig in, like I'm problem solving, and that often comes up with more questions. So I want to share with you those questions that helped me. One of them was, did I try my best? So one of the 4 agreements is do your best. And sometimes the kindness that we need to give ourselves is saying, you know what, at that exact moment, I did my best. So I'd ask myself that. Another question that I asked myself during this journaling is, what did I learn from this? And I asked that because it was a beginner thing that I was trying. And so a lot of times the compassion is knowing that we're on a journey and learning. And so what did I learn? And then how can I apply that going forward? Another question that I asked in there was, do other people experience this? So for the issue that I was journaling on, the doing it, what would I tell a friend, didn't work. And then I said, what would I tell my son? That helps a little bit. Then I was like, okay, this situation actually doesn't apply to any friends or my son. So I'm going to have to go with, do other people experience this? And so sometimes you do kind of have to go to that higher level of, am I alone? Is this a just me thing, or is it a common experience? And the final extra question that I put in there for myself was, can I find a way to be kinder to myself around this? So for me, because it's something that I'm doing that's new, I am going to have some ups and downs as I learn it. And so just kind of planning out, how am I going to be kind to myself while I'm learning something new? So those were the added questions that I had. I will go ahead and put those in the description after we're done, so that if you want to grab those too, they are in there. So if anybody has any questions, I will stick around. If you don't have questions or are watching this later, you can put them in the comment section and I will get back with you. And I'm just going to double check here to make sure there's no questions coming in. And it does not look like it. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. This should be available right away for replay if you want to use it for journaling again. After it is fully up and YouTube has done their finishing processing, I will put a timestamp in the description so that you can go directly to the journaling section. So thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Thank you.